There's a moment in every woman's life when she realizes that she's tired. Not physically, although that may be part of it, but emotionally. Tired of trying to force things to work. Tired of trying to read someone's mind through silence. Tired of feeling like her peace is in someone else's pocket. Tired of checking for signs the universe never promised to send. And if you're listening to this, you might be in that season right now. The season where you want to elevate your life, your relationships, your money, your mindsets. But something inside you still clings to outcomes, as if losing control means losing everything. You're evolving, but the attachment is still loud. You want to be soft, trusting, peaceful, magnetic. But your nervous system is convinced that panic equals safety. So today, I want to guide you into a new reality. A reality where detachment is not coldness. It's clarity. It's inner steadiness. It's choosing yourself in every room you walk into. It's letting life meet you halfway instead of trying to drag it towards you. And I want to start by asking you something very simple. Who were you before you started believing that control was the only way to get what you wanted? Before you thought you had to overthink everything to be prepared? Before you started bending yourself into versions that aren't even comfortable, just to avoid losing something that you don't even fully have? Because I promise you that beneath all the noise, your natural state is grounded. She is inside you, the woman who knows her worth without performing, the woman who can want something deeply without gripping it tightly, the woman who can enjoy a connection without being consumed by it, the woman who trusts her future without trying to micromanage every single inch of the path. That's the woman detachment brings back home. Let's talk about something you've probably experienced. You meet someone and it feels easy. The vibe is so natural. You almost sit up straighter because you forgot it could be like that. They say something funny, you laugh a little too loudly, and suddenly you're thinking about them on your drive home. Thinking about what they meant by certain things. Thinking about what it could be. Before you know it, the crush has turned into a mental project. Every little moment becomes a clue. Every silence becomes a question. Every interaction becomes a possibility. And instead of letting the connection breathe, you grip it mentally. You check their stories. You analyze their tone. You fantasize about how it might go. You start shaping your choices around the idea of sustaining their interests. And you don't realize that, little by little, you're slipping out of your own center. Then there's the woman who's trying to grow financially. She's applying, creating, working, dreaming, but the results are moving slower than her anxiety wants them to. So she checks her bank account several times a day. She wonders why things aren't happening faster. She tries to predict the future through worry. She equates progress with control. She ties success to constant pressure. Both women are dealing with the same thing: attachment. The belief that if you stop obsessing, everything will fall apart. But attachment doesn't protect you from loss. It only protects you from peace. Detachment is the opposite. It teaches you that love is not something you chase. It's something you experience. Success is not something you force. It's something you align with. Peace is not something you stumble into. It's something you create intentionally. Detachment is the practice of giving things the room to show you what they actually are. It is trusting that what is for you does not need to be held by the throat. And the first thing I want you to understand is this: detachment is not a lack of care. It's the presence of self-trust. You can care deeply while staying centered. You can love someone while keeping your identity intact. You can want more money while believing that you are safe right now. You can have dreams without suffocating your present moment. Detachment is a skill, a muscle, a practice, a lifestyle, and anyone can learn it. So let's start with something simple. I want you to imagine your emotional world like a weather forecast. When you wake up in the morning and it's cloudy, you don't panic. You don't think the universe is punishing you. You don't assume you did something wrong because it rained. You simply say, oh, it's raining. Let me adjust. Let me dress for the weather. Let me prepare, but not panic. Your emotions are the same. Some days are clear and sunny. Your confidence is high. Your energy is flowing. You feel grounded and beautiful. Other days, you wake up with clouds in your chest. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means your internal weather shifted. The mistake we make is thinking we need to control the weather instead of responding wisely to it. Rain doesn't stop because you want it to. Sunshine doesn't appear because you beg for it. You are not the sky. You're the one walking beneath it. Detachment teaches you to walk with an emotional umbrella. You say, I can handle the weather. I know how to take care of myself when the skies change. I don't collapse. I don't cling. I stay steady. When you stop trying to control the weather, you stop suffering unnecessarily. Another thing detachment teaches you is that you're not responsible for keeping the world together. You don't need to chase clarity in order to feel calm. You don't need to know where something is going to know that you are still enough. You don't need a guarantee to trust yourself. Control is often just fear wearing a responsible looking outfit, but you're actually keeping yourself in a state of emotional tension. Detachment releases that tension. Now let's bring this into relationships again, because that is where most women feel attachment the strongest. When you like someone, your brain tries to speedrun the entire story. It tries to predict, calculate, analyze, and position you for the best outcome. Not because you're desperate, but because you're invested. You care, and caring is beautiful. But caring from fear, that's where you lose yourself. Detachment lets you care from groundedness. You enjoy the moments, you laugh, you flirt, you connect, but you don't collapse your identity into the experience. You don't fantasize your way into heartbreak. You don't put your dreams on hold because you met someone cute. You don't audition for a role you were never meant to play. You stay yourself, fully, authentically, confidently, softly, boldly. And that is what makes you magnetic. Now, if you're listening to this thinking, but how do I do that? How do I stop myself from getting attached? Here's the truth. You don't stop yourself from feeling. You learn to feel without surrendering your power. The first step is awareness. You notice the moment you start building stories in your mind. You notice the moment you lose your center. You notice the moment your peace becomes dependent on someone else's behavior. And instead of judging yourself, you gently return home. You remind yourself that this is just one person in a world full of possibility, one experience in a lifetime full of chapters, one moment, not the entire story. And your story will not collapse just because one page is uncertain. You also learn to redirect your focus. The reason attachment grows is because your world gets narrow. You think about one person, one outcome, one possibility. Your brain becomes tunnel vision. Your energy tightens. Creativity shrinks. Your potential becomes small enough to shrink into the hands of whoever you're hoping will choose you. That is not your story anymore. A detached woman has a full life. A life she actually enjoyed. A life she's building for herself. Not for someone else's validation. She has passions, routines, friendships, dreams, and hobbies that feed her soul. She has desires beyond romance. She has a vision for her future that doesn't depend on any single individual showing up perfectly. That fullness is what protects her from obsession. That fullness is what makes her hard to shake. That fullness is what makes her magnetic. And the same is true with money. When your life is small and stressful, your entire sense of worth becomes tied to outcomes. A delayed payment triggers panic. A slow month feels like failure. A setback feels like doom. And suddenly, you're chasing money with the same anxious energy you used to chase people with. Detachment restores your safety. You start operating from the belief that you can figure things out, that you are capable, that opportunities still exist even when you can't see them, that you are not failing just because you're waiting, that your financial story is bigger than your current chapter, and that calmness is what money responds to. Money flows where there is space, not fear. Money responds to belief, not panic. Money expands around clarity, not scarcity. This is why detachment is not passivity, it's power. You're not sitting in a corner waiting for life to happen. You're living your life, trusting that the right things will align. And trust brings us into something essential, your internal GPS. I want you to imagine setting a destination into your GPS. You type in the address, the route appears, and you start driving. If there's traffic on the way, your GPS doesn't scream at you. It doesn't hide. It doesn't say you're lost. It simply recalculates. It guides you through a new route. It adjusts. Your dreams work the same way. Your healing works the same way. Your love life works the same way. You move towards it. You don't collapse. You don't give up. You don't shame yourself. The destination still exists. You're still on your way. Nothing is ruined. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is lost. Life is not punishing you. It's redirecting you. This is the part of detachment most people never learn. When life shifts you out of one path, it's not because the dream is slipping away. It's because that specific route is no longer aligned with who you're becoming. The version of you who set the goal may not be the same version who is meant to receive it. You are growing, evolving, shedding, expanding. The pathway to your desires will evolve with you. Think of how many times something didn't work out and later you whispered a quiet thank you to God or the universe. Thank you for not letting me settle. Thank you for letting me outgrow that person. Thank you for helping me see my worth. Thank you for not letting that situation drain me. Thank you for protecting me from something I didn't understand back then. Thank you for the timing that frustrated me, but ended up being perfect for me. Detachment gives you the grace to trust this in real time, not just in hindsight. So how do we actually live this? Here is where the embodiment begins. The first step is self-presence. If you're constantly living in the future or replaying the past, your body is not grounded. And when you're not grounded, your mind goes into protection mode. It starts predicting, imagining, controlling, spiraling. Detachment brings you back into your body, into your breath, into your senses, into the truth that right now you are safe. Right now you are capable. Right now you are enough. And one of the most beautiful, simple practices for cultivating presence is emotional naming. You pause and say out loud, I am feeling anxious, or I am feeling excited, or I am feeling fear, or I am feeling hope. Naming the feeling removes the subconscious urge to attach meaning to it. You stop thinking something is wrong with me, and instead realize something is moving through me. Simple as. Feelings are visitors. You get to choose whether they stay forever or pass through. Presence also means slowing down enough to hear your intuition. It does not panic. It does not rush. It does not pressure you to control outcomes. It simply nudges you. And those nudges feel like calm clarity. When you practice detachment, you become more receptive to those nudges. You start noticing when something feels off, even if it looks perfect. You notice when something feels right, even if it scares you a little. You notice when your body says wait, even though your brain says hurry. The calm woman within you already knows. Detachment simply gives her the microphone. Another pillar of living detached is emotional boundaries. You can't stay centered if you treat every feeling, every message, and every reaction from others as a personal assignment. When someone pulls away, you don't chase. When someone gives mixed signals, simply observe. When someone shows you who they are, you accept it, instead of creating a fantasy where there's someone else. Detachment is not arrogance, it's self-respect. Respect for your energy, respect for your standards, respect for your emotional stability. And yes, I know it can feel scary. When you like someone, pulling back feels unnatural. It feels like you're risking connection. But the truth is, connection cannot grow on top of anxiety. You need space, oxygen, and emotional honesty to build something real. Detachment makes room for genuine connection instead of fear-based attachments. Let's talk about the quiet power of acting from wholeness. When you operate from lack, your actions become desperate. You try to prove yourself. You overshare. You cling to crumbs because crumbs feel like they might lead to more. But acting from wholeness means you do not behave from hunger. You behave from fullness. You text from fullness. You date from fullness. You work from fullness. You create from fullness. You ask from fullness. You receive from fullness. Fullness is not pretending to be unbothered. Fullness is knowing your value so deeply that you will not shrink, chase, or twist yourself to be chosen. You are the chooser. And the moment you shift into this energy, everything changes. The same situations that used to trigger you suddenly feel so small. The things that used to cause anxiety suddenly feel irrelevant. The people who used to play with your emotions suddenly lose their power. The stories you used to build around someone's behavior dissolve. Because you don't need those stories to feel safe anymore. You become emotionally self-sufficient. And here is something beautiful. The minute you stop bending to be liked, people start respecting you differently. The minute you stop trying to control everything, opportunities start flowing in with less effort. Your magnetism grows, not because you're doing more, but because you're doing less from a more aligned place. Let's move into attachment triggers, because understanding these will change your life. Attachment grows strongest in these three environments: silence, slowness, and uncertainty. When someone pauses communication, when life slows down, when results take longer than expected, your brain starts running. It tries to fill the gaps. It tries to protect you. It tries to anticipate. And the quickest way to break this loop is to give your brain something better to do. You redirect your energy. You create movements in your own life. You stop staring at the door, waiting for someone to walk through it. And instead, walk through the next door in your own journey. You do things that bring you joy. You start living again. You find beauty in small routines. You move your body. You clean your space. You create something. You talk to people who uplift you. You remember who you were before the attachment stepped in. Because the woman you were before the attachment is the woman who will help you move past it. Here is something that will liberate you. Detachment does not mean you stop wanting things. Desire is beautiful. Detachment simply means you want it without giving it the authority to dictate your emotional state. You can want love while being patient. You can want success while being grounded. You can want change while being present. Detachment is liberation through balance. Now, I want to shift into the version of you that emerges after detachment begins. Because she is incredible. She becomes spacious. She becomes softer but stronger. She becomes a version who is not limited by uncertainty. Because she understands she can handle it. She becomes someone who is not impressed by mixed signals. Someone who is not shaken by slow seasons. Someone who does not abandon her identity to impress a person who hasn't even earned access to her. She becomes a woman centered in herself, rooted, glowing, not because of who is watching, but because she's finally breathing. Her energy becomes magnetic. It is light. She's not gripping anything. She's not forcing anything. She's not living in fear. She is open, receptive, and in her own lane. And the world responds to that. People lean in. Opportunities begin appearing. Money feels easier. Love feels safer. Because the universe naturally gravitates towards calm confidence. It gravitates towards grounded peace. It gravitates towards women who are not afraid to let go of what disrupts their peace. Let's go deeper into embodiment now. Living detached means your daily life aligns with your intentions. You stop saying yes when your body means no. You stop responding immediately just to avoid discomfort. You stop prioritizing people who constantly deprioritize you. You choose environments that regulate your nervous system. You choose friendships that feed your soul. You choose routines that nourish you. You choose yourself. Embodying detachment also means trusting your timing, not rushing your healing, not panicking when life feels slow, not judging yourself for being human. You grow step by step, day by day, choice by choice, and you celebrate every shift, every moment of clarity, every peaceful decision. You start to see detachment as a return to yourself, a return to your center, a return to your truth. Now let's talk about a part of detachment most people miss. It's not always peaceful. Sometimes detachment feels like withdrawal. Sometimes it feels like impatience. Sometimes it feels like your mind keeps trying to drag you back into old patterns. And that is normal. Detachment is not the absence of emotion. It's the decision to not let emotion override your power. You are not trying to numb yourself or pretend that you don't care. You are learning how to care without gripping. You are learning how to want without begging. You are learning how to feel without falling apart. And this is where emotional self-leadership comes in. When your mind pulls you towards attachments, you do not shame yourself. You guide yourself back. You become the calm, steady voice your younger self never had. Instead of spiraling, you say, I hear you. I know you are scared, but we are safe. We are capable. We are allowed to relax into this moment. That is emotional maturity. You become the anchor instead of searching for one. A woman who leads herself emotionally is unstoppable. She does not run from her feelings. She does not drown in them either. She sees them, she feels them, and then chooses how to respond. That choice is where your power begins. Another powerful practice for detachment is expanding your life outside of the things you're tempted to obsess over. If your world becomes small, your attachment grows. If your world expands, your attachment loses its grip. You start pouring your energy into yourself again. You revisit interests you forgot you had. You reconnect with people who make you laugh. You take yourself on walks. You create new routines. You find pockets of joy in your days. You rebuild a life that feels warm, rich, and fulfilling, even without the specific outcome you were clinging to. When you have a full life, you stop needing one thing to be your everything. And that is the foundation of detachment. Let me also tell you something very honest. People feel your attachment. They can sense when you're gripping. They can sense when you're over-invested. They can sense when your world is quietly revolving around them. And that pressure pushes people away. It's not your fault. It's just human nature. On the flip side, people also feel your freedom. They feel your self-trust. They feel your calm. They feel your joy. They feel your standards. They feel when you're choosing them from abundance rather than fear. And that energy pulls people closer. You're not trying to manipulate anything. You're simply holding yourself in your natural states. When you feel good, you become magnetic without effort. This is why detachment improves your relationships. When you stop trying to control outcomes, you allow people to show up as they are. You see the truth of situations instead of projecting fantasies. You stop excusing behavior that harms you. You stop accepting inconsistencies. You stop confusing chemistry for compatibility. Detachment gives you clarity. You learn to watch people's patterns without being blinded by potential. You learn to value your peace over the excitement of uncertainty. And this clarity leads to healthier connections because you're no longer afraid to walk away from things that do not match your energy. Now, let's talk about timing because timing is a major trigger for attachment. You want something, you feel ready, you feel deserving, you feel aligned, but life is asking you to wait. And waiting feels like punishment when you don't trust the timing. But here's what detachment teaches you. Waiting is not empty. Waiting is not wasted. Waiting is not the universe ignoring you. Waiting is preparation. Sometimes you're ready, but the path is not. Sometimes the path is ready, but you're not. Sometimes other pieces need to shift before your desire can land safely in your life. Sometimes your energy needs to mature. Sometimes your environment needs to change. Sometimes your emotional capacity needs to grow. I know waiting can feel frustrating, but detachment turns waiting into strengthening. Instead of thinking, why is this taking so long? You begin asking, who am I becoming in this time? Because if the right thing arrived before you became the grounded, aligned version of yourself, you would not be able to hold it. Not because you're incapable, but because the timing would not match the energy. You cannot receive your highest future with your most anxious present. Detachment bridges that gap. I want to bring something in here that many women overlook. Detachment is not just mindset. It is identity. You are shifting from the woman who fears losing into the woman who trusts she never needs to grip what is meant for her. The woman you are becoming is someone who can be deeply open to love without losing her boundaries. Someone who can be committed to her financial dreams without obsessing over every little detail. Someone who can have desires without doubting her worth. Someone who can let things take time without spiraling. This version of you is powerful. She lives with softness and strength at the same time. She knows her emotions are valid, but not always accurate. She knows attachment is a sign that she is human, not a sign that she is weak. She knows she can recalibrate anytime. Now let's go deeper into magnetic energy, because once you start mastering detachment, this is where the magic begins. When you release tension from your body, your energy expands. When you stop gripping outcomes, your aura softens. When you stop overthinking, you become more present, and presence is magnetic. Clarity is magnetic. Calmness is magnetic. Joy is magnetic. Self-possession is magnetic. A woman who is grounded in herself without trying to control everyone around her, without trying to control anyone or anything, becomes unforgettable. She does not chase validation. She does not wait by her phone. She does not try to force connection. She does not second guess her worth. She is not in competition with anyone. She is not easily shaken. Her magnetism comes from inside. People want to be near her because she feels like fresh air. She feels like emotional safety. She feels like lightness. She feels like she's choosing life, not surviving it. And money responds to this energy too. When you stop gripping money, you stop blocking it. When you stop resenting delays, you stop resisting abundance. When your energy becomes spacious, money has room to enter. Detachment does not mean you stop working. It means you stop worrying. You still take action. You still show up. You still build. But your actions are not fueled by fear. They are fueled by belief. Fear drains you. Belief energizes you. Fear rushes you. Belief steadies you. Fear makes you cling to outcomes. Belief makes you trust your journey. This is why detachment is powerful for manifestation. Manifestation requires an open, receptive energy. If your nervous system is tense and anxious, you are vibrating at the frequency of lack. If your energy is relaxed and trusting, you vibrate at the frequency of abundance. The universe responds to your emotional tone, not your desperate thinking. This is why so many manifestations arrive when you least expect them. When your energy finally relaxes, the things that were already aligned for you finally have space to land. Choosing peace sets the stage for everything you want. Let's talk about the identity shift that completes your detachment journey. You are moving from a life where your peace depended on what was happening around you into a life where your peace comes from what's happening within you. That shift is everything. Because once you trust yourself, you no longer fear uncertainty. Once you trust your timing, you no longer fear delays. Once you trust your standards, you no longer fear walking away. Once you trust your worth, you no longer fear losing things that do not align. And this is where your true magnetic era begins. When you detach, you create emotional space. When you create space, your energy expands. When your energy expands, your life expands. The things that belong to you can finally reach you. The things that aren't aligned will naturally fall away. Nothing is forced. Everything is intentional. A woman who embodies detachment does not rush. She does not over-explain. She does not fight for clarity. She does not chase closure. Her presence is her boundary. Her standards speak for her. Her softness is not weakness. Her calmness is not complacency. Her peace is not passive. It is power. Now let's bring this more personally into your day-to-day life. How do you maintain detachment when you feel yourself slipping back into old habits? The first way is through grounding rituals. Detachment is much easier when your nervous system feels safe. So you create routines that bring you back home to yourself. It can be something as simple as quiet mornings, putting your phone away while you make your coffee, sitting with your breath for 2 minutes, listen to music that calms your energy, writing down your thoughts instead of spiraling through them, walking outside and letting your mind slow down. You do whatever reminds your body that you are safe. When your body is safe, your mind is steady. The second way is through reframing. When you feel the urge to chase, the urge to overthink, the urge to control, you pause and ask yourself a grounding question. What am I afraid will happen if I just let this be? That question reveals your attachments. You are rarely afraid of losing the thing itself. You are afraid of what you tell yourself it means. You are afraid of what your mind adds on top. When you separate your story from the truth, you free yourself. The third way is through expanding your life. Attachment thrives in emptiness. Detachment thrives in fullness. When you fill your life with routines, passions, friendships, learning, growth, and self-care, attachment has no space to take over. You make your life bigger than the thing you were obsessing over. You give yourself more to look forward to than what someone else may or may not do. You ground your identity in something stable instead of something unpredictable. And the fourth way is through acceptance. Acceptance is not giving up. Acceptance is recognizing what is true right now without panicking. It is seeing reality clearly without turning it into a threat. It is saying, this is where things are today, and I can still take care of myself. I can still trust my path. I can still choose peace. Acceptance stops the fight. And when the fight stops, your energy softens. And when your energy softens, your alignment strengthens. Now let's talk about how life responds to this new version of you. Because once you step into detachment, everything around you begins to adjust. People start treating you differently. Not because they fear losing you, but because they feel your self-respect. Your boundaries become clearer without you ever having to make a speech. Your energy becomes more focused. You attract healthier connections. You repel inconsistency. You stop attracting people who benefit from your lack of boundaries. Opportunities shift too. You start receiving things you used to beg for energetically. You start noticing unexpected pathways opening. You start seeing proof that your calm is working. You stop forcing timing and start trusting it. And timing becomes kinder to you. Your relationship with money becomes healthier. You stop panicking when things slow down. You stop tying your worth to your income. You start trusting that abundance is not rare. You become more strategic, more aligned, more inspired, and less frantic. And money feels that shift. It responds to it. Even your relationship with yourself evolves. You trust yourself more. You forgive yourself easier. You validate yourself daily. You understand your triggers. You know how to soothe your own emotions. You stop abandoning yourself to keep other people comfortable. You start protecting the woman you are becoming. And one of the most powerful things detachment gives you is emotional neutrality. Neutrality does not mean you don't care. It means you're centered enough to let things reveal themselves without jumping to conclusions. You stop assuming. You stop catastrophizing. You stop trying to decode every little thing. You give things time to breathe. You let patterns reveal truth. And truth will always reveal itself if you stay patient. Neutrality frees your mind. It frees your energy. It frees your heart. There's a moment in every woman's detachment journey when she realizes she's no longer controlled by outcome. She no longer panics when things slow down. She no longer feels the urge to fix what was never hers to manage. She no longer fears losing what she never truly had. She no longer feels sick waiting for clarity. When this moment happens, you feel the shift. You feel a quiet confidence rise in you. You feel your energy expand. You feel yourself coming home. This is the beginning of your magnetic era. Because here is something you need to know. The most magnetic women are not the ones who are perfect, flawless, or constantly composed. The most magnetic women are the ones who trust themselves. The women who have nothing to prove. The women who know they can hold themselves no matter what. The women who know that they are not defined by who chooses them or who leaves them. The women who stay soft and open without losing their standard. The women who love without losing their center. The women who desire without doubting their worth. The women who let life unfold without gripping it by the throat. When you embody this energy, life shifts to meet you. You are no longer chasing the future. The future is walking towards you. You are no longer gripping outcomes. Outcomes are aligning for you. You are no longer begging for clarity. Clarity is becoming obvious. You are no longer trying to force everything. Things are unfolding naturally. This is the reward of detachment. This is the beauty of peace. This is the power of trusting your path. And I want to end with this. Your peace is not fragile. Your worth is not conditional. Your future is not slipping through your fingers. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are not being overlooked. You are being prepared. Every slow season is strengthening you. Every delay is aligning you. Every detour is guiding you. Every moment of discomfort is expanding your emotional capacity. And every time you choose to stay grounded instead of gripping, you step deeper into your magnetic self. You are already becoming the woman who does not chase. You are already becoming the woman everything aligned with her naturally gravitates towards. You are already becoming the woman who trusts her timing. You are already becoming the woman who is led by peace, not panic. And that woman is unstoppable. This is your era of detachment. This is your era of alignment. This is your era of magnetism. And everything meant for you is already on its way to you.